After a few years in gamers' bad books, what with their treatment of Mega Man, a focus on all or nothing AAA titles, and neglecting their unbelievable back catalogue of releases, Capcom have come to their senses in this past year or two. Mega Man has a new entry, old classics are getting the love they deserve like Onimusha, Resident Evil is back to being Resident Evil instead of Dude Bro action shooter, and we've even got some long lost arcade titles. Capcom are on a roll and I don't want them to stop. While new releases of their classic franchises would be great, in the meantime, I would love to delve into their old games even more on the Switch. Okami, Onimusha, Resident Evil, Mega Man Collection, this is great, and the fact is, they have so much more to give. And so in the light of them announcing Resident Evil 0, Remake and 4, I put together a list of 5 classic Capcom titles we'd love to see brought to the Nintendo Switch. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe for more Switch related lists, as well as awesome reviews and gameplays. Go on, you know you want to. Let's get on with it. Power Stone 2, starting off with a highly personal choice. I loved this game so much on my Dreamcast as a kid, and despite its focus as a multiplayer game, I loved playing this as a single player experience. A fantastic arcade arena brawler, I could play this game over and over again. The adventure mode and the item shop where you just combine items to unlock them in the game were so addictive. It might be the best Atelier game that I've ever played, despite it not actually being an Atelier game. The likelihood of this one appearing is slim to zero, but one can hope, right? I guess you could throw the original Power Stone in there too, but when you have the sequel, the original is pretty redundant. Devil May Cry HD Collection. One of Capcom's most well-loved franchises for the hardcore gamer, Devil May Cry is a series of thrilling action hack-and-slash games created by Hideki Kamiya, the same person responsible for Resident Evil 2, Okami, Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, and another series that I'll talk about very soon. While it is an uneven trilogy, the first and third entries are considered classics of the genre with its intense combat, scoring system, and difficulty. Back when I was 12, when Devil May Cry originally released, it was just too difficult for me, and so I didn't have a good impression of it. I'm rubbing my hands for a chance to give this another go though. What with the latest installment of the series, Devil May Cry 5, releasing next March, the HD collection would be a nice way to drum up interest from Switch owners into the series. I think this one should be pretty likely if Capcom have a bit of sense. Viewtiful Joe. Clover Studio were a wonderful fleeting game studio with 6 releases in their 3-year life, producing the critical darling Okami and the old school beat-em-up God Hand. They also had a few attempts with the Viewtiful Joe series of beat-em-ups. Also from the mind of Hideki Kamiya, garnering universal critical acclaim, this series was loved for its eye-popping cel-shaded visuals and tight, satisfying gameplay. It's a shame we haven't seen much from the series recently, since it did sell fairly well on the GameCube and PlayStation 2, but it seems with the closure of Clover, impetus to continue the series waned. A HD release of 1 and 2 together would be ace, and maybe revitalize interest from Capcom in continuing the series. Lost Planet Collection. I suspect many people have forgotten that Lost Planet is very much a Capcom franchise. A mid-tier budget series of third-person shooters never found the limelight that Capcom had hoped. Maybe the fact that they were developed internally in Japan, but going for a more western style of gameplay just didn't quite work out as planned. It seems to be a solid trilogy though, and one that I would love to give a try should they release them on the Nintendo Switch in a nice affordable package. It could bring the franchise fresh attention and reach a much more interested audience on the Switch than the overcrowded Xbox 360 and PS3 era. This one is unlikely for sure, but it would be nice in an ideal world. Before we get into the final pick, be sure to tell us which Capcom Classic game you'd love to see on the Nintendo Switch. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new here. We'll happily welcome you to the Switchwatch family. Anyways, on to our last choice, Breath of Fire. Which one? Well, I'm not entirely sure which one I would pick out of the lot. It's a pretty steady bunch of RPGs. If my hand was forced, I'd probably go with the second one. But I'd love to see any of these games on the Nintendo Switch. Well, except for maybe Dragon Quarter, which, as a kid, I just hated instantly. Although maybe a more mature Jordan may find the appreciation that some of the critics did at the time too. A full collection would be highly unlikely of course, but one could hope. Which Breath of Fire game would you like to see on the Switch? The series is currently languishing in Capcom's basement and could really do with a fresh dose of exposure from an eager Switch audience. These have been the 5 classic Capcom games that should be on the Switch. Do you agree with this list? In the top right hand corner there is a poll asking you which of these 5 you would like to see the most. Participate in that because we love to know what interests you. Who knows, maybe Capcom are taking notes. Well, maybe. Now, I suggest that you head over to the recent Halloween video of ours where I talk about 5 horror games you should play on the Switch. Hope you got the guts for that, and I'll see you over there. I've been Jordan from Switchwatch. Take care.